Today on Raiders All 22, we take an in-depth look at the coach's film to understand why the Raiders lost a very close contest against the Texans in Houston. There were just too many mistakes and penalties, even though the Raiders made some big plays. The run blocking by the offensive line was again a strength. You can see Rodney Hudson here blocking the 3-4 nose tackle, and that guy gets pancaked. And then you can see an awesome tandem block here by Incognito and Miller on the left side of the offensive line against the right defensive end, and they get that guy pancaked too. And the important thing to note about a 3-4 defensive line is that all three of the linemen tend to be two gappers, so they're pretty tough to move when you are trying to run the ball, and it's a big reason why the Texans haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher, I think, since 2017. It's been a long time. So we only got to see our starting offensive line unit for about 10 snaps before Hudson went down with an injury. So undrafted rookie free agent Andre James, a converted tackle now playing backup center, had to come in, and you can see a very nice solo block there against the nose tackle. And what James proved is that he was definitely up to the task. It's really good that we have a reliable backup center. A great way to tell how strong a player is to see how they fare against really good players. So Trent Brown here is solo blocking J.J. Watt, and you'll see he easily gets on the outside shoulder of Watt to help Jacobs turn the corner, and then Waller also gets a good block here on linebacker Zach Cunningham, and so Jacobs is able to turn the corner and pick up a huge chunk of yardage. For the most part, Trent Brown shut down Watt in their one-on-one matchups, which was really impressive to watch. Incognito continues to found the fountain of youth. He's arguably been the Raiders' best and most consistent offensive lineman. So here you'll see he gets the block on the right defensive end, and what's impressive is that Incognito had to slide laterally to get on the outside shoulder to get that position. Carr also had a clean pocket to operate from most of the game, and so Trent Brown here in pass protection singled up against J.J. Watt. Watt tries to go inside, and Brown easily defeats that. Brown has got really good feet for a big man and tremendously long arms and a strong punch, so you can see here just shoving Watt out of the way. On the slant play to Renfro, Brown again is solo blocking Watt, and you'll watch he gets Watt locked up to the point where Watt basically goes nowhere. Doesn't even get within 5 yards of Derek Carr. And that's why we have some of the best Carr insurance in the NFL. So Andre James also played well in pass protection, so you'll see him single blocking the nose tackle here, and he shows a couple things. Good feet, keeping those feet working, forming a good base to defeat the bull rush, using his arms to keep the nose tackle at length. And it really is encouraging to see that we have good depth on the offensive line. On this deep out to Ty Williams, we're going to see great pass protection on the line. So Colton Miller is matched up against the right outside linebacker, easily defeats that spin move. And then we can see Richie Incognito here against the right defensive end, and watch how little Incognito gives up ground. He's just nasty. Tremendous lower body strength, really good punch. And then if we take a look at the backside pass protection, Waller is able to defeat the left outside linebacker here. Does a good job with his hands and just gradually giving up ground, maintaining that good base. We're going to now shift over to the pass rush. So Hankins is going to show a good ability to collapse a pocket and get in Deshaun Watson's face and force an early throw and prevent Watson from being able to step up in the pocket. The coach is raised in the offseason about how Hankins has looked, and he showed it here in terms of his pass rush. So notice how he redirects here. He gets around the offensive lineman, locates Watson's able to change direction, which is really impressive for a 325-pound defensive tackle, and close and bring him down. Mayo had another terrific game. So you'll see him use right here from the left defensive end the scissors move. So he's going to throw his arms laterally across his body. That enables him to turn the corner. And then as he's closing on Watson, he uses his right arm to post on the tackle and keep him off balance and drive him back for the sack. And you can see the scissors move right here. See, he kind of swings both arms laterally left to right across his body. Mayo had another terrific play here. Notice right here, you're going to see him swing his arms left to right, so that enables him to defeat the arms of the tackle, and then he rips underneath with his right arm. It looks like he's throwing an uppercut underneath the shoulder of the offensive lineman to turn the corner. Right, you'll see right here, that beautiful rip move. And while Mayo doesn't get credited with the sack, in my opinion, he's the guy that helped make that happen. And this play was actually credited to Arden Key, who does a nice job here on the stunt. And right here you can see his right arm, he's pushing away the left tackle's left hand to turn the corner. Pretty good pass rush technique there. This play here ended up in a roughing the passer on Crosby. And this is one of the things, like he does a great job. He immediately gets underneath the right tackle and uses a rip move with his left arm. That gets called for roughing the passer, and that's definitely a tough call for the Raiders. To me, this is like a 50-50. The ref didn't have to throw the flag. I think the impact is probably what resulted in the penalty, which is a real shame because Max does a fantastic job of defeating the right tackle. And Raiders definitely had their chances. This was on the biggest play of the game. You're going to see Arden Key does a fantastic job with his right arm. He's going to knock away the left tackle's left arm, and then he's going to rip with that left arm, so it looks like a left uppercut. And he should have had Watson here for the sack. And instead, Watson somehow miraculously spins out of that would-be sack and makes a ridiculous play downfield while being dragged down by Max Crosby. And the Raiders were that close. It's definitely, it was a fantastic play in real time. It's jaw-dropping, but if Key sacks him, this game is likely over. The run defense by the defensive line was also really strong, so you'll see Hall getting, and I feel like I say this on a weekly basis, yet another run stuff there, like he just shoves the guard back and then swallows up Carlos Hyde. You'll see a tackle for loss here by Hall, playing at right defensive tackle. Watch how alert he is when he matches up against the left guard, shoves him out of the way when he sees Hyde coming. So Hankins showed up again on tape against the run, and so you're going to see him here playing 3 technique, manages to defeat the guard and then take Hyde down. Hankins had another sweet run stuff here, lined up at the left tackle position, just a shade inside the right guard, and you see him again show really good lateral quickness. So Max Crosby flashed multiple times in tape, and you're going to see him on the left defensive end here make a huge tackle for loss. So look at him toss aside that tight end and then swallow up the ball carrier. And the thing about Crosby is, he's got really good quickness, long arms, and it shows very good functional strength for a guy who wasn't supposed to be a run stuffer. So here's another nice run stuff by Crosby. So he's lined up at left defensive end. Watch him, he rips underneath with that right arm underneath the blocking tackle's right shoulder, gets on the outside, and then brings the running back down. Really good technique. I think if the draft happened again, Max would have been a late first rounder or high second rounder based on how he's looked. Okay, Max also shows a really good ability to locate the ball. So, in Houston, he picked up his second forced fumble. So right here, he's just coming down the line of scrimmage. He pops the ball out. Unfortunately, Carl Joseph's not able to come up with it. That would have been huge. Crosby did have one really big penalty against the run. It would have been a big tackle for loss by him. But as he's coming around here, he crashes down the line of scrimmage, and it just gets a little bit too high, and you can see he's clearly turning the helmet and neck of the running back, and that's going to get a yellow flag every time. So this is the clock-killing drive that ended the game, and Morrow almost makes a tackle here in the backfield. He's a little bit high, coming in a little too hot, and Hyde manages to just maintain his balance and then break free. Now, to some degree, Morrow and Whitehead were in a tough position. They had to play like over 70 snaps each, so I'm sure exhaustion factored into this, but that this could have gotten the ball back for us, for Derek Carr. The Texans' game plan for Darren Waller, and for the most part, kept him contained, and so you'll watch him here run a quick out, but you can see the defensive back was all over this. And again, from the right slot, later in the game, you'll see Waller running a quick out, and the linebacker, right, this might be defensive back, jumping the route right here, almost getting the pick six. Gruden did have really creative play design here to get Waller the touchdown, so the play is looking like it's going left in terms of the motion. Waller actually runs along the backside of the line of scrimmage, picks up ahead of steam, and by the time he catches the ball, he's able to turn the corner before the defenders can get there. We did have a really big play by Waller called back by a penalty, so here in the slot you can see Hunter Renfrow. He's going to get called for a pick, and watch where this contact happens. This is about 1.5 yards downfield. If it's within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, you can get away with pretty much anything, but that was correctly called a pick play. And the thing is, really, Renfrow just needed to rub the defender just to slow him down for a split second, but he ended up, causing too much contact there. Speaking of Renfrow, he definitely had his breakout game, so you're going to see him here lined up in flanker position, and he's going to make a hard break. And then, what he said, well, he takes us to the house, a long touchdown, a huge play early to give the Raiders the lead. And, one of the things after the game he said their coach is that when you catch the ball, get vertical as soon as possible. And by doing so, he defeats that second would-be blocker and takes it to the house. I've been pleased with a lot of the creative play design by Gruden. So here you'll see Ty Williams. This is his big touchdown. He's going to run what looks like a crossing route. Waller rubs the defender on him, and then Williams pivots and turns the route back outside, almost like a corner route, and then picks up the long touchdown. So you can see just right there, he and Waller are crisscrossing. That's the proper way to do a rub route. You don't have to actually contact the defender. Williams made some big plays downfield, but on some late possessions, such as this attempt here, this would have been a potential game-tying or game-winning drive against Gary and Conley, who they beat a couple times downfield. He's just not able to come up with what was a laser by Derek Carr, a really well-thrown ball. So let's take a look at our pass defense by the secondary. So CB Mullen here is covering the receiver in motion. And what was really impressive, he only allowed 2 of 4 completions to his side. And I loved seeing this aggressive play by the rookie in his first start, and a great ability to close on the ball and using that length. LaMarcus Joyner's continued to struggle in coverage. I'm not sure if you can fully credit him for this mistake, but he's playing zone coverage. Mullen bails in out for the deep receiver, and Joyner totally loses track of the other receiver on that side. And then on this play, this is, in my opinion, clearly a blown coverage by Joyner. He's covering the tight end, and for some strange reason, he just bails, right? Comes up to Watson standing, and he's basically in no man's land. So he's not close enough to the quarterback to affect the throw or tackle him. He's definitely not close enough to the tight end to properly defend the pass. I don't know what he was thinking here, but huge mistake by Joyner. Watson's a big threat with his feet, and he fooled the Raiders defenders, edge defenders, a couple times. So here you'll see Cleve Farrell is going to bite hard on the play action to Carlos Hyde. This was a designed run all the way. And then you'll see this on this 4th and 1 late in the game. Farrell's going to again get fooled by play action, and he gives up the edge. And it's just an easy run for Watson. So you see this happen to Max Crosby too here at the left defensive end position. This wasn't a designed run as far as I can tell, but he allows himself to get sucked inside, and Watson can see there's nothing but green in front of him. I think what was frustrating at the end was the zone coverage. So Hopkins lined up in the slot. He's matched up against Nicholas Morrow, and he's going to easily find, the soft spot in zone coverage. And late in the game, the Texans definitely took advantage of this. So this is Watson again lined up in the slot, matched up against Morrow. And you see a sharp break there, easily creates separation for a big chunk of yards. And then on the very next play, the same thing happens to pick up the first down. So you can see running back is flexing out wide. In my opinion, Morrow should have gone to take him, not Daryl Worley. So this leaves Morrow having to zone cover Hopkins. And again, look how tentative Morrow is because he'd been beaten inside. So, the tape on this game definitely showed a lot of promise, a lot of good things from both sides of the ball in terms of the trenches. We just need to finish plays, and avoid costly penalties. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your takes on the game. Also, if you want to interact with me on Twitter, my handle is listed here at RaidersAll22. And this is a huge game coming up against the Lions. If we can win this one, we've got a stretch of winnable games after that one. So go Raiders, and I hope you enjoy the game this weekend. Take care.